the first thing I did was I wanted to understand how Wells Fargo could finance my Sprinter van, my cargo van, my pickup truck, my van. Because I was interested in having Wells Fargo business loan, like a business loan for my van. So the first thing I did, I actually went to the Wells Fargo website, and I paid attention to a lot of things because I wanted to really have a clear idea about the requirements for the Wells Fargo business loan for a Sprinter van, cargo van, box truck, pickup truck, and pickup truck and step van. And so what I did was, as you can see on the screen here is a screen grab. They actually will ask you information about your company name, your company website, your annual revenue. So I put all the information that was needed. They asked me whether we are a Wells Fargo customer, which we are. But even if you're not a Wells Fargo customer, you can still qualify for financing for your cargo van, Sprinter van, box truck, and step van, and what have you. And they'll ask you for your first name, last name. If you are the company contact, they'll also ask you for your title. They'll ask you for your company address. They'll ask you for your state, like your zip, whatever. They'll ask you for your email. Email is really important. Okay, email is really important, so don't forget that. And so make sure you have the right email though, because everything will start from there. And they'll ask you information about your title at the company, because Wells Fargo wants to make sure you are the decision-making process, so you can see the list of titles available at the company. So you can choose what kind of title you like, what kind of sector you're in, what kind of title you have. And you also need to pay attention to you need to provide your email, of course. You need to provide other, like if there is anything else you want Wells Fargo to know, you just have to say that now. So the first thing, if you want to kick off a Wells Fargo cargo van, Sprinter van, pickup truck, step van, or box truck business loan application process, everything starts online. Before you actually go to a branch, if you want to go to a branch, you want to start by filling out this form, so that Wells Fargo has a clear idea what kind of customer you are, and they will approve you real fast too. So if you do this homework, it took me about 7 minutes. It's nothing complicated. They're not asking like very like PhD like questions, very complicated questions. No, pretty straightforward. And it took me 7 minutes. It'll probably take you like 5 to 10 minutes. And you can do this in one sitting. And the thing I realized is that I wanted to have a cargo van or a Sprinter van business loan from Wells Fargo, right? And I realized that Wells Fargo is surprisingly very, very not easy, but they are very flexible. So basically, it doesn't matter where you're located, even if you are in Alaska. Like, it was kind of funny. Like, I have a friend who has a delivery business in Alaska, and he actually he qualified for a Wells Fargo, I would say, a cargo van business loan. I was like, whoa, that's pretty good. So one thing I've seen in my research is that most businesses qualify for business van or box truck financing loans. And now, however, the amount you are able to borrow, as well as your interest rate, depends on the price of the vehicle, your personal and business credit score, and the financial health of your business. So that was really important. So if you're trying to get a Wells Fargo cargo van business loan, Sprinter van business loan, box truck business loan, make sure that you take care of those three things. Okay, so let's go. I want to quickly go through it. So your interest will depend on the price of the van. So now Wells Fargo can actually finance you all the way to $250,000. Now I'm sure you're not spending $250,000 on a Sprinter van. You're not really going that far, right? You're probably paying 1/5 of that if the vehicle is new. So $50,000 maximum. And so this is kind of fine. You got to pay attention to your personal and business credit score. So Wells Fargo wants you to have at least 570. So 570 for your FICO score. Why is it that low? This is because this loan is collateralized. So they know that something were to happen, they'll actually recoup their money anyway. So they're not really too strict on that. So so your personal credit score 570, 575, and your business credit score, if you have a payday score, Wells Fargo wants you to be around 80. So if you have a cargo van business, a Sprinter van business, a box truck business, a step van business, or a pickup truck business, you want to be around 80, or in terms of your payday score, and the financial health of your revenue, the financial health of your business. So Wells Fargo wants you to have like overall 200. They want you to make $100,000 a year. So if you're a solopreneur, if you're an owner operator, they want you to have you want you to have that amount every year. So if you have that, you can qualify, not a problem. And one thing I also did was that I also started paying attention to what the conditions are, like the real conditions to actually get the cargo van and Sprinter van business loan from Wells Fargo. And I realized that Wells Fargo doesn't have a lot of conditions. They will tell you, listen, we'll pre-qualify you and we'll also qualify you, which you want to do anyway. By the way, you need to seek pre-qualification before you start shopping for a cargo van, Sprinter van, or whatever. Like what you do is you go to Wells Fargo, the website, you fill out the form that I just told you, that I just showed you. And what will happen here is that Wells Fargo will pre-qualify you. In other words, they'll say, okay, based on your information, we are able to finance up to $75,000 or $80,000 or $250,000. Now, $250,000, you can actually buy a fleet of cargo vans, box trucks, Sprinter vans. You can buy a fleet of pickup trucks or step vans. I mean, all the possibilities are there. Remember, Wells Fargo is a financial behemoth. They have the resources, they have the expertise, they have the acumen to actually accompany you. Not a problem at all. Okay, but there are some cases, some instances, some scenarios where Wells Fargo believes that it is not good for you to even apply for a cargo van business loan with them. So, for example, this, like, if you are unable to cover the down payment, do not, because Wells Fargo will ask you for a down payment. So they will actually ask you for a 20% down payment. So just what am I saying? Be sure that you have that cash. 20% is 20%. So if you're looking for a zero down payment sort of a loan, you're not getting it through Wells Fargo. Okay. So for instance, if you're applying for a $50,000 pickup truck loan, you want to have at least 20% of 50,000. That's $10,000. You got to have that, and they'll ask you. And so there are some other cases where Wells Fargo believes it's not right for you to apply for a loan with them if the cost is too high for you. The cost is too high for your revenue, for your profit and loss statement, and if the van in your industry becomes outdated quickly. Now, if you are a delivery business, you're an owner operator, you don't have that problem. But yeah, Wells Fargo just has to say it. Like when I was going through the process, they told me to make sure that the van that I'm about to buy doesn't become like quickly outdated in my industry. I said no, it takes a while for this thing to happen in my industry anyway. And as I was doing research, right, and as I wanted to know exactly that I was making the right decision, so I started asking. I kept asking myself, should I lease or finance? Because and I asked around. I asked my cousin, in Ohio. I asked another cousin in Philly. There was a third cousin in Tallahassee, Florida. So those players, they've been in the industry for like many years. Like my cousin in Ohio, he's been in the industry for 25 years. The one in Tallahassee, I think he came to the game about 17 years ago. And so those folks they're like really experienced, right? So I asked them. I said, listen. And I also watched the YouTube videos and I read a little bit on the internet because I wanted to make sure I was making the right decision. So the thing for me was, should I just lease? Because it just seemed to understand. Like I was like, if I'm about to pay $45,000 for a cargo van business loan, how about just paying like $2,000 for a down payment on a lease program? Because then there I could just use a vehicle that is new, that's brand new. I could change that vehicle once a year, or every other then with no sort of major capital outlays. So for me, that was kind of important. So I was kind of tempted to do a lease versus an acquisition, an outright acquisition. But finally, I decided to go with a cargo van, Sprinter van, pickup truck with a regular loan because I wanted to own my own van too. I'm like, you know what? I'm in this game for a long time, and I wanted to prove to myself that I was for real. Like I wanted to make money in the delivery industry, and because I saw opportunities. Where I was living at, I saw opportunities like all across the state, especially in the tri-state area. Because for me, it's all about having the metropolitan area. Like I wasn't really just going to settle for one county or one city. I wanted to actually do some OTR every now and then, but not really go as far though. I mean, tri-state area, that's kind of fine. I wanted to really just be sure that I was doing the right thing. And as a matter of fact, if you are interested, when I said tri-state area, I was talking about the New York area. So, I was like, okay, if I'm living in New York, I want to cover Connecticut, I want to cover New Jersey, and just make money that way, And maybe for some OTR assignments, I'm ready to go all the way to Philly, all the way to Pennsylvania. Like, if the money is good, though, the money has to be good. That's really an important element for me. One thing I realized when I was applying for was Fargo cargo van business loan, sprinter van business loan, pickup truck business loan, box truck business loan, step van business loan. I realized that the decision can be really fast. I mean, now Wells Fargo actually like the whole thing happened within 2 weeks. I was flabbergasted. I mean, really, to say the least. Why? Because like usually for big banks, and they're pretty slow. I mean, generally they're pretty slow. Like basically, they will actually approve you. They will release the funds. Everything takes like 2 to 3 weeks on average. Because I've been in this game for a while now. I've applied for the same thing at PNC. I've applied for the same thing at Bank of America. I applied for the same thing at Chase. I did the same thing at Citi, and usually it's around 2 to 3 weeks. But with Fargo, everything can happen within 7 to 10 business days, and I was really happy with. Just make sure that you have your paperwork ready, because that way things could be really fast. As I told you, you want to actually indicate your phone number, everything, because they tend to nowadays communicate with you via mobile. So if they have the exact number, they'll text you. They'll text you important information about the underwriting process, so you are pretty sure where you are at during the process. So make sure you have your most recent 2 years of business tax returns. So that will be your 1065. If you are an LLC, that will be your 1065. Just make sure you have all the schedules K1 attached to that, because they pay attention to that too. They want to make sure that you have a complete set of financials. Also, you have to show your most recent personal tax return. That will be a 1040. If you file jointly, make sure that you are able to show clearly the money that comes from you. And Wells Fargo wants to see your most recent 6 months of business bank statements. And they also want you to sign, like they want to have a signed guarantor form. So you have to sign that. And so if you are an owner with more than 20% ownership of the business, you need to sign that form. Okay, they just want, because all their loans are secured, and this is kind of fine, and they will require a lien on your business assets and a personal guarantee from the primary business owner. So this is kind of what they have. And one thing I want to say here is that if you are considering, like, one thing I also was thinking about is that Wells Fargo is pretty flexible, and they're really flexible in terms of how fast they look at the application. And because, mind you, I started thinking about having a Wells Fargo cargo van business loan last year, but I started doing the research about 10 months ago, and then I actually started applying for everything for real about 5 months ago. And during all that time, I was just like, doing research about what Wells Fargo was asking for, what kind of information they will be asking me, and how quickly I would need to provide that info. So I realized that they actually would do financing and refinancing of new and used cargo vans, sprinter vans, box trucks, step vans, and pickup trucks. And the terms go from 12 to 84 months. I was really happy when I saw that. I was like, "Oh, this is really good." You are talking about 1 year to 7 years. That's really good, because I love loan terms that are really long. That gives me time to breathe, because I like to breathe when I have a loan, an open loan. I like to breathe. And so the cool thing here is that you can actually, with Wells Fargo, they do also interim financing. In other words, if you're looking for a specific loan for a specific transaction, they will take care of you also. They do operating leases. They do standard and modified track leases. They have equipment lines of credit. They do lease purchase agreements. They do dealer retail finance programs. So they do a lot of stuff trying to kind of help you out. And that's what I love a lot. I love with Wells Fargo, because they have a program for trucks and vans. So everything about vans, cargo vans, you have sprinter vans, you have box trucks, you have pickup trucks, you have step vans. They cover everything. Okay, so we love that a lot. I love that flexibility. And the cool thing here is that they'll work with you, they'll work with you as a solopreneur, but they'll also work with you if you are, let's say, if you have a fleet, or you are like in a specific industry. If you're hauling loads in a specific industry, in a niche industry, Wells Fargo will work with you, not a problem. So if your shippers are, let's say, wholesalers, distributors, retailers, or manufacturers that use cargo vans for their delivery, basically, Wells Fargo will work with you. One thing I also realized, and I was really happy when I was doing research here about this Wells Fargo cargo van, sprinter van, pickup truck, box truck, or step van business loans. I was really happy that Wells Fargo will cover also specialty vehicles. In other words, if you're not in a specific, let's say you're doing delivery, but you're not in a regular sort of everyday delivery business, Wells Fargo can still take care of you. So they finance and they actually provide financing and leasing for refuse, recycling, and other specialty vehicles. So if you are opening that kind of business, if you're launching a business in that sector, you could still qualify, right? So we're talking here about refuse and recycling haulers, vacuum pumper and tanker trucks, tow, utility and tire service trucks, scrap industry equipment, emergency vehicles, transfer stations and sorting lines. So that was kind of good. So and balers and compactors, medium duty service and work trucks, tanker, refuse and vocational trailers, boom and crane trucks. Okay, so this is kind of important. Document shredder trucks, compressed natural gas equipped trucks. So you can see that the choice is really vast here. Okay, so there is a constellation of offers, and this is kind of cool. So, and the cool thing is, if you have a question, just make sure you call Wells Fargo business van or box truck financing specialist. They'll give you a financing or leasing option that really fits the nature of your work and business structure. Okay, and they also do so in terms of their products and services. Those include financing and refinancing for new and used vocational vans, terms from 36 to 84 months, competitive fixed or floating interest rates, up to 100% financing. So they might actually ignore the collateral requirements or like down payment requirements for that type of vehicle. So that's kind of cool. So you're able to get a loan without actually putting anything down, and so they also will take care of you if you have a seasonal or skip payment structure. If you want to have something like this, they'll take care of you. They have application only programs. They have term loans, standard and modified track leases. They have lease purchase agreements. They have operating leases. They have dealer retail finance programs. They have manufacturer subsidy programs. So that was kind of cool. So, but if you have any question, it's just a lot better to contact Wells Fargo because programs change all the time. But if you want to go with a specialty vehicle, you can actually qualify for a loan or a lease amount that goes all the way to $100,000. If you are interested in a cargo van business loan, sprinter van business loan, let's say box truck business loan, pickup truck business loan, or step van business loan, you could be approved for an amount that goes all the way to $250,000, depending on your geography, depending on your company's finances, and depending on your business and personal credit scores.